Okay, I am going to do my regular audio check and then put on some music real quick because a little bit of a, well, I'm running a little behind actually, is what I should be saying. So after I do my audio check, I will go ahead and put some music on real quick because I have got to run down to the store, which is at the end of the block, to get stuff. And I will be right back. This is less than 15 minutes. I'll be there and back in no time. So, with that being said, I'm going to do my audio check, and D Live is on. It's running good. Now, I have got to refresh Rumble. D Live and Beam both is actually sounding good. Rumble sounds good. The live stream on X Pro is actually working today. Yesterday it was nothing but a link, but it straightened out today. I can actually hear myself on there too, so D Live's good. Twitch, Twitch is good, and so is Kick. So now we go to YouTube. Okay, so YouTube sounds good. Now, I made a mistake last week. I thought that that was the last episode, which it wasn't. Um, but I thought it was the last episode of Ancient Mysteries. This is actually the final episode, which is good because now I get a chance to do what I wanted to do with the ball cycle, but at the same time, I'm able to do a recap, which I wanted to do. I was debating on either of the two, and then I went through and checked out my video playlist and the files that I have on my computer and found out that I was actually one video short. So that makes it to where I can actually do both. Last week, we went through a roundtable on the ball cycle. I also did an episode before that with my own interpretation of it. And this week, what I'm going to do is a recap of everything that I've gone through within the year so that I can, well, so it can be a cool ending. You know what I mean? Since I did such a good job on the ball cycle, I'm going to not get into that in this video whatsoever. I'm just going to go through and mention the stuff that was previous. It might bounce off of it every once in a while, but I'm not going to make it the focus of the stream. So we're all set up and ready to go. But what I want to do, like I said, is put on some music, run to the store real quick, get what I need, and come back. But before I do that, I just want everybody to know, too, that this is going to be a long episode because we had a lot of good stuff on here. So with that being said, I'm going to mute out, put the music on, and I hope you guys enjoy.
Once the gods carved earth like a cosmic chessboard, Poseidon claimed Atlantis, his starborn accord. 10 twin suns, throne of tridents waves at his command. Empire stretched from bow, big stones to Mayan sand. Monolith stacked like Legos blocks no crane could lift. Sonic levitation, gods don't need pulleys or grit. Athena taught Athens, Hephaestus forged veins of gold, but Atlantis spires pierced heaven, stories untold. Is a virtue, divine blood pure in the veins. No egregious geodesic temples where starlight reigns, but mortality crept in, diluted the grace. Gold turned to rust, hubris eclipsed the god fast.
Of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From these the tetragonical, the cold section all as above, so below. Cosmic empire of modern princes,
while vice cracked the divine. Pyramids hummed warnings, but they ignored the signs. Skies split with fury, tsunami swallowed their pride. Atlantis sang screaming, but blueprints survive. Baalbek's foundation, stones that defy modern math. 1,000-ton puzzle, gravity's aftermath. Scholars still baffled how they align the stars. They rode cosmic currents breaching space-time's bars. Now divers chase shadows where crystal cities gleam. AI scans the ocean, but truth a half-dream. Freemasons whisper maps in their lodges of lore. Plato's Critias, a metaphor or a war.
Echoes of Atlantis drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom where titans still sleep. From the Egyptian to Monaco, the co-attention all as above, so below. Cosmic empire of law, 10 princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis where gods walk the sea.
They say Poseidon's seed still flows in our veins. In every megalith, every grid that restrains. The Dogon chart Sirius, Templars guard the flame. But Atlantis tech, it's encoded in our DNA's frame. Zeus's verdict was fire, a flood in ice. Yet the Sphinx still stares, whispering sacrifice. Mortal minds crave power, but miss the design. True kings rule through resonance, not bloodline. Now decode the ruins, their psalms etched in stone. A star-born king's empire, now dust and bone. The hall of records buried neath Giza's cold gaze holds anti-gravity schematics from pre-flood days. Crystal engines hummed, organ fueled their might, till pride turned their frequencies dissonant blight. The Anunnaki fled, Mars colonies crumbled. Leviathan's bones and the Mariana rumbled. But Poseidon's ghost rides the Bermuda's mist. Evolve past the greed or drown in the abyss. Tsunamis taller than gods crack continents like eggs. Jungles of Egypt drown, turn to sand in Poseidon's regret. Mammals shrunk to lapdogs, skies choked by volcanic breath. Waves circled the globe thrice, 3 funerals for death. Up Nepiston, rode the arc of frequencies, not wood. Up tetrahedron ziggurat where anti-grav pulses stood. While Atlantis sank, he spliced DNA and quantum seeds. Stashed them in Göbekli's veins and Indus Valley reeds. Volcanic winter's curse. Zeus hit the reset, scorched the grids, erased the moon ringed internet. Noah's not a shepherd, he's a star-born archivist. Cracking hermetic scrolls in caves where mushrooms twist. The survivors crawl from mud with amnesiac eyes. Built new gods from scrap metal and fallen skies. Now desert bones whisper where cedars once soared. Man's just a ghost in Atlantis' holographic horde. Wasn't water, it was math. A codex purged, Enoch's nightmares digitized in the cosmic surge. As above, so below, the blueprint stays true. Rise from the ashes or drown in what's new. The flood wasn't water, it was math. A codex purged, Enoch's nightmares digitized in the cosmic surge. As above, so below, the blueprint stays true. Rise from the ashes or drown in what's you. Echoes of Atlantis drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom where titans still sleep. From Giza to Tijuana, their codes etched in awe. As above, so below, cosmic empire of law. 10 princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walk the sea. So when you see Stonehenge and God's spire, know Atlantis lives in the quantum choir. The gods were myths, their mentors in code. Rise from the ashes, or repeat what they owe. Once the gods carved earth like a cosmic chessboard, Poseidon claimed Atlantis, his star-born accord. 10 twin suns, throne of tridents waves at his command. Empire stretched from bow, big stones to Mayan sand. Monolith stacked like Legos blocks no crane could lift. Sonic levitation, gods don't need pulleys or grit. Athena taught Athens, Hephaestus forged veins of gold, but Atlantis spires pierced heaven, stories untold. Ages of virtue, divine blood pure in the veins. No egregious geodesic temples where starlight reigns, but mortality crept in, diluted the grace. Gold turned to rust, hubris eclipsed the god face.
Of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From these to Occult, to cold section, all as above, so below. Cosmic empire of modern princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walked the sea.
Zeus watched the fall, saw vice crack the divine. Pyramids hummed warnings, but they ignored the signs. Sky split with fury, tsunami swallowed their pride. Atlantis sang screaming, but blueprints survived. Arbeck's foundation, stones that define modern math. 1,000-ton puzzle, gravity's aftermath. Scholars still baffled how they align the stars. They rode cosmic currents, breaching space-time's bars. Now divers chase shadows, where crystal cities gleamed. AI scans the ocean, but truth a half-dream. Dream three misses whisper maps in their launches of lore. Plato's Critias, a metaphor, or a war.
Echoes of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From music to Occult, to cold attention, all as above, so below. Cosmic empire of law, 10 princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walk the sea.
They say Poseidon's seed still flows in our veins. In every megalith, every grid that restrains. The Dogon chart Sirius, temples guard the flame. But Atlantis tech, it's encoded in our DNA's frame. Zeus's verdict was fire, a flood and ice. Yet the Sphinx still stares, whispering sacrifice. Mortal minds crave power, but miss the design. True kings rule through resonance, not bloodline. Now decode the ruins, their psalms etched in stone. A star-born king's empire, now dust and bone. The hall of records buried neath Giza's cold gaze holds anti-gravity schematics from pre-flood days. Crystal engines hummed, organ fueled their might, till pride turned their frequencies dissonant blight. The Anunnaki fled, Mars colonies crumbled. Leviathan's bones and the Mariana rumbled. But Poseidon's ghost rides the Bermuda's mist. Evolve past the greed or drown in the abyss. Tsunamis taller than gods crack continents like eggs. Jungles of Egypt drowned, turned to sand in Poseidon's regret. Mammals shrunk to lapdogs, skies choked by volcanic breath. Waves circled the globe thrice, 3 funerals for death. Up the piston, rode the arc of frequencies, not wood. Up tetrahedron ziggurat where anti-grav pulses stood. While Atlantis sank, he spliced DNA and quantum seeds. Stashed them in Göbekley's veins and Indus Valley reeds. Volcanic winter's curse, Zeus hit the reset. Scorched the grids, erased the moon-ringed internet. Noah's not a shepherd, he's a star-born archivist. Cracking hermetic scrolls in caves where mushrooms twist. The survivors crawl from mud with amnesiac eyes. Built new gods from scrap metal and fallen skies. Now desert bones whisper where cedars once soared. Man's just a ghost in Atlantis' holographic horde. The flood wasn't water, it was math. A codex purge, Enoch's nightmares digitized in the cosmic surge. As above, so below, the blueprint stays true. Rise from the ashes or drown in what's new.
The flood wasn't water, it was math. A codex purge, Enoch's nightmares digitized in the cosmic surge. As above, so below, the blueprint stays true. Rise from the ashes or drown in what's you. Echoes of Atlantis drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From Giza to Tijuana, their codes etched in awe. As above, so below, cosmic empire of law. 10 princes of plasma, their thrones now debris. Echoes of Atlantis, where gods walk the sea. So when you see Stonehenge anchor on fire, know Atlantis lives in on fire. The gods were myths, their mentors and code. Rise from the ashes or repeat what they owe.
Once the gods carved earth like a cosmic chessboard, Poseidon claimed Atlantis, his star-born accord. 10 twin suns, throne of tridents waves at his command. Empire stretched from bow, big stones to Mayan sand. Monolith stacked like Legos blocks no crane could lift. Sonic levitation, gods don't need pulleys or grit. Athena taught Athens, Hephaestus forged veins of gold. But Atlantis spires pierced heaven, stories untold. Ages of virtue, divine blood pure in the veins. No egregious geodesic temples where starlight reigns. But mortality crept in, diluted the grace. Go turn to rust, hubris eclipsed the god fest.
Of Atlantis, drowned in the deep. Poseidon's lost kingdom, where titans still sleep. From these tetragonical to coalition heart, as above, so below, cosmic empire of modern princes of plasma, their thrones now debris.
Alright, so sorry it took a little bit longer than I thought it would. It's almost at 18 minutes, or it is at 18 minutes, but I'm back. I have everything ready to go, and I will get on with the topic. Sorry that it took so long. Like I said, I'm running behind on time, so with that being said, I'll make sure that I incorporate the 20 minutes into the reading that I have, which is going to actually be pretty long. I'm not going to have too much time for commentary or anything. It's basically a recap of everything that we've been through. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get into the topic. First, I'll do my quiet countdown and start the show like I usually do. Hello everybody, and welcome to the final episode for Ancient Mysteries for 2025. I'll be bringing this series back next year, so don't worry about it, but that won't happen until next January. If I believe correctly, that's when I started this year. I am going to go from this to my next video series, which is Conspiracy. That will start promptly when April starts. So it should be coming up next Sunday. And we will be starting our new series, our episodes for this season on Conspiracy next Sunday. So don't worry about it. We'll have more of this again next year, like I said. But with that being said, I am going to get into the final episode for Ancient Mysteries. This is a recap of everything that we've gone through, starting from the beginning of this season up until now, since I did such a good job at going over the ball cycle and a lot of the stuff concerning the Canaanites. What I'm going to do is I'm going to not get into that as much in this episode as what I have in the last two or three. I may have to bounce back and forth across it, with certain parts that I'm reading, but other than that, it's going to stay focused on what I was discussing before that. So, with that being said, here we go. Here's the topic. In the vast nothingness before time, there was no stars, no planets, no light, only an endless void where space and time were indistinguishable. The universe slumbered, waiting for the spark that would awaken it. There existed no stars, no planets, no light, only an endless void where space and time was indistinguishable. There was, however, a single constant, a force, the primordial ooze, the formless, timeless essence of creation, destruction, and transformation. Cosmic energy that existed in perfect tension between the opposing forces of life and death. Within the primordial ooze resided every possibility, every form of life that could be created, and every structure that could be dismantled. It was the building block of existence, but it was also its undoing. From it, entire galaxies could be born, only to collapse again into dust. The universe had not yet found its rhythm, but in the heart of the void, the ooze simmered, waiting for the moment when it could be called forth to shape reality. And deep within the primordial darkness, an ancient force began to stir. The primordial ooze rising from the depths of the nexus in swirling chaotic waves. It wanted to be shaped, to be given form, but it also resisted, as if it feared the order that would be imposed upon it. Form shimmered with the colors of the universe itself, reflecting the endless expanse of creation. Shimmering with the light of the cosmos, reflecting the primordial energies that flowed through the nexus. Bodies weaving through the void in intricate patterns, each movement a grand design. The heat of 1,000 suns flickered with the energy of creation, the force of life that brought stars to life and ignited the spark of consciousness in the universe. Ice, shimmering with a soft blue glow, and stillness, the force of order and preservation. Palmyra's position as a cosmopolitan city at the crossroads of East and West meant that it was constantly interacting with Indo-European speakers. And this interaction played a pivotal role in the shaping of shaping the city's linguistics, cultural, and religious development. The anemoi was associated with the cardinal directions, each representing a specific wind in its characteristics. The name Boreas may come from the root bor or boror, meaning to roar, reflecting the strong, cold nature of the northern wind. Boreas was depicted as a powerful, sometimes harsh deity, often bringing winter storms. Notus stems from the Greek notos, which is connected to wet and stormy conditions. Notus was associated with the late summer rains and storms, sometimes feared for their destructive potential. The name Urus likely comes from Ur, meaning wide or broad, perhaps indicating the expanse of the eastern sky at dawn. Urus was considered unpredictable and often brought rain or warm air. Zephyrus derives from Zephyros, possibly connected to the word Zophos, meaning darkness or gloom, though it is also tied to gentler connotations. Zephyrus was seen as a mild, favorable wind, heralding spring and renewal. The anemoi were integrated into Greek mythology as more than just weather phenomena. They were given genealogies, typically as sons of Eos, which is dawn, and Astraeus, which is the starry sky, connecting them to cosmic and celestial elements. The pre-Greek substrate refers to the linguistics and cultural influence that existed in Greece before the arrival of Indo-European speaking people, such as the Mycenaeans, who introduced the Greek language. These influences are seen as remnants of languages and cultures that were present in the region during the Neolithic and early Bronze Age, long before Greek became dominant. The study of the pre-Greek substrate is based on evidence found in typonyms, personal names, mythological terms, and loanwords within Greek. The Greek substrate languages are believed to have been non-Indo-European, meaning they do not belong to the same language family as Greek, Sanskrit, or Latin. These languages may have been spoken by the people who inhabited the Aegean, Crete, and surrounding areas. Many Greek place names are considered to be of pre-Greek origin because they do not conform to Indo-European phonetic or morphological patterns. Examples include names ending in nthos, such as Corinthos or Zakynthos, or ssos or /sos, which is kenosis or parnassos. Greek inherited a number of words from the pre-Greek substrate, particularly terms related to agriculture, names of planets and animals and things like that, religious and mythological concepts too. Then there's local geography. These borrowed words often exhibited unusual phonological patterns or structures that do not align with typical Greek word formation. Archaeological evidence, such as the Cycladic figurines and the Minoan civilization of Crete, points to a sophisticated pre-Greek culture. Religious practices such as goddess worship and labyrinthine temple layouts may also have influenced later Greek cultures. Words from the pre-Greek substrate often include sounds of combinations that are rare in Greek, such as clusters of consonants or double consonants. The endings /nth, /ss, /tt/ and /nd/ are common markers for pre-Greek influence. The proximity of the Aegean to Anatolia suggests that early Anatolian languages such as Luwian might have influenced the pre-Greek substrate. The Proto-Indo-European word dyeus, or Dyeus, is a significant term in the study of Indo-European linguistics, as it provides insight into the root of ancient mythologies and linguistic developments across multiple branches of the Indo-European family. I will explain the meaning of dyeus, Dyeus, using linguistic methods, focusing on its form, its semantic fields, and its evolution into various Indo-European languages. The word dyeus, Dyeus, is typically reconstructed in pre-Indo-European as dyu, Dyu, a root that is often associated with the concept of the sky or daylight. The root Dyu, has been hypothesized to denote a bright celestial or heavenly realm, linking it to the idea of the daylight sky and its association with divinity and supreme power. The Proto-Indo-European word or root Dyu, Dyu, itself is related to a number of cognates across different Indo-European languages that signify a bright, high, or divine concept, further linking the root to the imagery of the sky and the sun. This root is central to the formation of terms related to the celestial and divine across many Indo-European cultures. In the context of Proto-Indo-European, dyeus, Dyeus, refers to the sky or the celestial realm. Over time, this term took on the additional connotation of a god or a divine figure, especially in relationship to the sky god. The Proto-Indo-European root Dyu, Dyu, thus embodies the early Indo-European concept of a sky deity, a powerful, overarching figure that governs over or oversees the world from above. While Zoroastrianism clearly outlines a struggle between opposing forces, it does not conform to the strict definition of dualism, where two forces are co-equal and eternally in conflict. Ahura Mazda is the singular, omnipotent source of all creation. Even Ahura Mazda operates within the bounds of Ahura Mazda's overarching plan. Eschatological resolution suggests the struggle between good and evil is not eternal. Zoroastrian eschatology foretells a time when evil will be eradicated, the material world will be purified, and all souls will be reunited with Ahura Mazda in a state of eternal harmony. This framework reflects a moral duality, a temporary and resolvable conflict, rather than a metaphysical dualism. Zoroaster describes the two primal spirits, Spinta Manu, the beneficent spirit, and Agra Manu, the destructive spirit, who represent truth and falsehood, respectively. These spirits are not equal in power, as Santa Manu ultimately aligns with Ahura Mazda's creative force. The Gathas highlight the importance of human choice in supporting the forces of good. Through righteous action, individuals can contribute to the triumph of Asha over Draj. Zoroaster emphasizes the eventual defeat of evil and the establishment of divine order, underscoring the transient nature of the duality. At the end of time, the material world will undergo a process of purification and renewal. Evil will be eradicated, and all souls will be redeemed and reunited with Ahura Mazda. The sacred fire, a symbol of Ahura Mazda's light and truth, is maintained in temples and services as a focal point for worship. Fire rituals emphasize the triumph of light over darkness. Zoroastrianism places great emphasis on maintaining physical and spiritual purity. Rituals for cleansing and purification reflect the duality of purity, aligned with Asha, and impurity associated with Draj. Abibalus, also known as Abibal, was a king of Tyre in the 10th century BCE and the father of the renowned King Hiram I. While historical records about Abibalus are scarce, his significance lies in his role as a stabilizing figure in Tyre's monarchy and as the progenitor of the lineage that led to one of the city's most prosperous eras. Abibalus ruled during a period when Tyre was solidifying its position as a dominant maritime and trading power in the eastern Mediterranean. Tyre's wealth came primarily from its extensive trade networks, including the export of Tyrian purple dye, and a luxury item high prized in antiquity. Abibalus ensured the stability of Tyre by establishing a strong dynastic rule. This stability allowed his son Hiram I to ascend to the throne without internal conflict and to focus on expanding Tyre's influence. Abibalus is remembered primarily through his son's achievements. His role is fostering a stable and prosperous kingdom laid the groundwork for Hiram I's successes. Hiram I was the son of Abibalus, and is one of the most celebrated kings in Tyre. He ruled from approximately 980 to 947 BCE and is renowned for his architectural achievements, trade alliances, and contributions to the prosperity of Tyre. Hiram expanded Tyre's territory and influence through both diplomacy and commerce. Under his reign, Tyre became the dominant Phoenician city-state. He strengthened Tyre's maritime power, expanding its trade routes and establishing colonies, including settlements that would later grow into Carthage. Hiram undertook significant construction projects, including the expansion of Tyre's harbors and the building of temples and palaces. He is credited with connecting the mainland city of Tyre to its island counterpart via a massive causeway. This engineering feat improved the city's defense and trade capabilities. Hiram formed a famous alliance with King David and later with King Solomon of Israel. This alliance was cemented through trade agreements and mutual support. Hiram provided materials such as cedar wood and skilled labor for the construction of Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. In return, Israel supplied Tyre with agricultural goods. Hiram's alliance with Solomon is prominently featured in the Hebrew Bible, particularly in 1 Kings 5 and 2, and 2 Chronicles 2. These accounts emphasize his generosity in the cooperative relationship between the two kingdoms. Hiram's reign marked the zenith of Tyre's power and influence in the ancient world. His diplomatic and economic policies set the stage for Tyre's enduring success. While King Hiram I's achievements were all documented, details about his immediate successors, including his sons, are less clear. The historical records suggest a period of relative stability following Hiram's reign, but there is little direct evidence of his sons' reigns or their specific accomplishments. After Hiram I, Tyre continued to thrive as a major Phoenician power, but it faced increasing competition from other city-states and external threats, including Assyrian and Babylonian expansion. Hiram's descendants likely inherited a kingdom at its peak, but were tasked with defending its wealth and influence against rising powers in the region. The combined reign of Abibalus and Hiram I represent a golden age for Tyre. They established the city as a cultural, economic, and political hub in the ancient Near East. Their legacies are intertwined with the broader history of the Phoenicians, whose innovation in trade, navigation, and culture influenced civilizations across the Mediterranean. The stories of Hiram I's contributions to Solomon's temple have made him a figure of interest in biblical and Masonic traditions. These accounts highlight the interconnectedness of ancient civilizations and the importance of diplomacy and trade in fostering cultural exchange. Although Tyre faced challenges in later centuries, including sieges by Alexander the Great, the foundation laid by rulers like Abibalus and Hiram I ensured its place in history as one of the great cities of the ancient world. Abibalus and Hiram I exemplify the leadership and vision that characterized Tyre during its peak. While Abibalus laid the groundwork for stability and prosperity, Hiram I elevated Tyre to unprecedented heights through his architectural achievements, trade alliances, and diplomatic acumen. Together, they represent the golden age of Phoenician civilization, a period that left an indelible mark on the ancient world. The Dioscuri, Cabiri, Corybantes, and Samothraces are all groups of divine or semi-divine figures from ancient mythology, often associated with mystery cults, protective roles, and rites connected to fertility, initiation, and protection. Each group is distinct but shares thematical overlaps in their religious and cultural functions. The Dioscuri, Castor and Pollux, are twin brothers from Greek and Roman mythology, celebrated as patrons of sailors, warriors, and protectors of humanity. They are sons of Leda, with their fatherhood attributed to Zeus, which Pollux, and which is the father of Pollux, and Tyndareus, which is Castor's, resulting in their mixed mortal-immortal nature. The Discorii are emblematic of brotherly love and devotion. When Castor, the mortal twin, dies, Pollux, the immortal, shares his immortality, allowing them to alternate between the heavens and the underworld. They are associated with St. Elmo's fire, a weather phenomenon seen in their sign. No, a weather phenomenon seen as their sign of protection during storms. Worshipped as protectors in battle, they were venerated by Spartan and Roman soldiers. The Dioscuri had widespread cults across the Mediterranean. Their temples, such as the Temple of Castor and Pollux in Rome, served as a place of worship and symbols of unity. The Cabiri, or Cabiroi, are enigmatic deities or spirits associated with the islands of Samothrace, Lemnos, and Imbros, as well as the cult of the great gods in Samothrace. They are often linked to the mystery religions of the Aegean and Asian Minor. The Cabiri were central to the initiation rites of the Samothracian mysteries, which promised initiates protection at sea and possibly in the afterlife. The Cabiri were seen as protectors of seafarers and associated with the underworld, fertility, in the forging of metals. The Sabiri are sometimes described as a father and son duo who, as a later group with connections to Hephaestus, god of fire and craftsman. I'm going to read that again. The Cabiri are sometimes described as a father and son duo who has a larger group with connections to Hephaestus, god of fire and craftsmanship. The rites of the Cabiri are secretive. The rites of the Cabiri are secretive and likely involved initiation, purification, and the veneration of fire and fertility symbols. Their sanctuary on Samothrace was a major religious site. The Corybantes are ecstatic dancers and attendants of the goddess Cybele, Magna Mater, and her consort Attis. They are often portrayed as wild and frenzied celebrants, known for their rhythmic dances and clashing cymbals. The Corybantes are famous for their energetic dances and music, which were integral to Cybele's cult. In some myths, they protect the infant Zeus from his father Kronos by drowning out his cries with their clamor. Their rituals are linked to the renewal of life, often involving themes of death and rebirth, mirroring the story of Attis. The Corybantes played a role in the dissemination of the Cybele cult throughout the Mediterranean. Their rituals, though wild, had a structured purpose, serving as a form of catharsis and spiritual renewal for participants. The Samothraces or the great gods were worshipped on the island of Samothrace or Samothrace, particularly at the sanctuary of the great gods, one of the most important religious centers of the ancient world. The exact identities of the deities remains mysterious, but they were closely associated with protection, especially for sailors. The Samothracian mysteries were open to all, unlike the exclusive Eleusinian mysteries, and promised initiates safety at sea and possibly in the afterlife. The gods of Samothrace were connected to both the underworld and the sea, reflecting their dual role as protectors and guarantors of safe passage. The mythology of the great gods often included themes of sacred marriage, symbolizing cosmic harmony and fertility. Initiates underwent purification rituals and received sacred teachings. The exact nature of these teachings remains unknown due to the secrecy surrounding the mysteries. The Corybantes, wild dances, and music resemble the ritualistic ecstasy associated with the Caballari and the Samothracian mysteries. The Dioscuri, Caballari, and Samothracian deities all served as protectors, particularly for sailors and those in peril. Themes of fertility, life, death, and rebirth are common among these groups, reflecting the agricultural and seasonal cycles central to ancient religious thought. The Caballari and the Samothracian great gods are both central figures in mystery religions, emphasizing initiation, purification, and esoteric knowledge. Epigeius and autochton are terms deeply rooted in ancient mythologies and cosmologies, often symbolizing connections between humanity, the earth, and divine origins. While they may not always refer to specific deities, these names carry significant cultural and mythological implications. The name Epigeius comes from Greek roots, epi meaning upon or over, ge meaning earth. Together, the term means of the earth or earthly. Epigeius symbolizes beings or forces connected to the surface of the earth. While not a specific god in most traditions, the term can describe lesser divinities tied to the physical realm rather than the heavens or the underworld. In some contexts, Epigeius might symbolize the human condition as being born of and tied to the earth. As of the earth, Epigeius may overlap with chthonic deities, those tied to the earth's fertile and death-giving powers. In Greek and Roman contexts, Epigeius could refer broadly to earth-related entities, including agricultural spirits, protectors of the land, or figures tied to nature's cycles. The term autochton derives from autos, meaning self, katokton, meaning earth or soil. And to spell that, you spell autochton as Autochthon. And Autos is Autos, and then Catocton is Chthon. And again, Autos meaning self, Chthon meaning earth or soil. The word translates to born of the earth or self born from the earth. In Greek mythology, autochthon are humans or creatures that arise directly from the earth, symbolizing their pure connection to the land. Examples include the Spartoi, warriors born from the dragon's teeth sown by Cadmus in Thebes. Some earlier beings, like Gaia, which is Earth, are described as autochthonous, or thonios in their self-generation, emerging without parents. The connection of autochthony is often used to assert a people's ancient and rightful claim to a land, as they are born from the soil of that place. This idea was prominent in Athenian identity, as Athenians claimed descent from the autochthonous king Cyclops, depicted as part man, part serpent. Autochthon symbolizes life emerging from the earth, reflecting agricultural and natural cycles. The term conveys a sense of deep connection to one's homeland and the soil itself. Both terms emphasize the bond between life and the earth, whether through creation, autochthon, or habitation, epigeus. Autochthon beings represent the earliest life forms emerging directly from the primal earth. These figures or concepts often symbolizes the earth's role as a giver of life and sustainer of human existence. While neither term refers to specific well-known deities, they are concepts applied to figures such as Gaia, the personification of Earth and the ultimate autochthon. Then Cyclops, the serpent man-king of Athens, symbolizing the union of Earth and humanity. Then there's Spartoi, earth-born warriors tied to the myth of Thebes. Autochthons and epigeus are used metaphorically in philosophical texts to discuss humanity's nature, morality, and relationship with the material world. Ancient people often invoked autochthony to claim a sacred connection to their homeland, grounding their culture in divine origins. Chthonic rites and earth-centric rituals often incorporate the symbolism of autochthonous origins and epigeal connections, emphasizing the earth's sacredness. In ancient mythology, Ge represents the personification of earth and is a primordial deity symbolizing the foundation of life and existence. In Phoenician, Greek, and other ancient cosmologies, Ge occupies a central role as the source of fertility, stability, and interconnectedness between all natural and divine forces. Her significance Her significance varies slightly between cultures, but consistently emphasizes her role as the nurturing and sustaining mother of the cosmos. She is often described as one of the earliest beings to emerge from chaos or the void in many mythological traditions. In the Phoenician account preserved by Sanchuniathon, Ge arises alongside other elemental deities, such as Uranus, which is the sky, and Pontus, which is the sea, reflecting her integral role in the structure of the cosmos. Ge is the progenitor of numerous gods, titans, and other mythological beings. She is the foundation upon which life and the divine order are built. Ge embodies the physical earth, including its soil, mountains, and fertile plains. She represents both the material world and its life-giving properties. As a personification, she is depicted as nurturing, abundant, and ever-present, yet also capable of immense power and wrath. Ge and Uranus are often depicted as consorts, symbolizing the union of earth and sky, which produce life. Their offspring includes the Titans, who represents various forces of nature and aspects of the cosmos, the Cyclopes and Hecatonchires, who symbolize untamed and chaotic aspects of creation. A key myth involving Ge is the separation of herself from Uranus, often instigated by her son Kronos. This act symbolizes the differentiation of the heavens and the earth, a critical step in the creation of an ordered cosmos. In Phoenician mythology, Ge appears as a fundamental force in the pantheon, much like in Greek mythology. Ge is closely associated with the creation of life and the balance of the natural world. She works in harmony with Uranus and other primordial deities to establish the cosmic order. In the mythology emphasizes her generative powers, making her a central figure in the cycles of birth, growth, and renewal. Ge is the archetypal grandmother or great mother, embodying fertility, abundance, and natural care, and nurturing care. She is often depicted as a life giver, not only of plants and animals, but also to gods and humans. In ancient agricultural societies, Ge was revered as the source of crops and sustenance. Rituals and offerings were made to ensure bountiful harvests. Ge represents the foundation of existence, providing stability and support for all life. Her presence ensures balance in the natural world. While nurturing, Ge is also a force to be reckoned with. She can unleash her power through earthquakes, storms, and other natural phenomena, reminding mortals of their dependence on the earth. Ge was worshipped widely across the ancient Mediterranean and Near East, including in Phoenicia, Greece, and Rome. Offerings of grain, fruits, and flowers were made to honor her fertility and life-giving properties. Earth-related festivals often mark planting and harvest seasons. Groves, caves, and mountains were considered sacred to Ge, as they symbolized their presence and power, or as they symbolized her presence and power. The personification of Earth as Ge influenced later cultural and religious practices. The Greek iteration of Ge, which is Gaia, became a foundation figure in Hellenistic mythology and philosophy. The Romans adopted Ge as Terra Mater, or Mother Earth, integrating her into their pantheon. The Dioscuri, Castor and Pollux, and their sisters Helen and Clytemnestra were born as a result of the union between the mortal queen Leda and the god Zeus. The story begins with Zeus, the king of the gods, falling in love with Leda, the queen of Sparta. Zeus, in order to seduce her, transforms himself into a swan. Leda, unaware of the swan's true identity, was either seduced by the bird or, in some version, raped by it. After their union, Leda laid 2 eggs. From one egg emerged the Dioscuri, Castor and Pollux, while from the other egg came the 2 sisters, Helen and Clytemnestra. The twins, Castor and Pollux, were often referred to as sons of Zeus due to their divine father, while Helen and Clytemnestra were sometimes considered to be fully mortal, though their mother Leda was also of royal lineage. The egg symbolism in the myth carries a significant weight as it connects to the idea of rebirth, transformation, and divine origin. In many ancient cultures, the egg was seen as a symbol of life and the cosmos, representing both fertility and the beginning of all things. The fact that the children were born from eggs highlights their semi-divine nature and suggests that their existence was not bound by ordinary human rules of birth and life. Castor and Pollux were born as twins of Zeus, the god of the sky and thunder, but their mother was Leda, a mortal. This dual parentage, divine and mortal, placed the twins in a liminal space, giving them exceptional qualities, including great strength, bravery, and skill in battle. Their sisters, Helen and Clytemnestra, were similarly marked with divine heritage through their father Zeus. But their mortal nature was more profound. Helen's birth from the egg is especially significant in the mythological context, as she would grow up to become one of the most famous figures in Greek mythology. Her beauty was so extraordinary that it led to the Trojan War, when she was abducted by Paris. Helen's birth from an egg represents her connection to both the divine and mortal worlds, as well as her status as a figure of immense power whose action could change the course of history. Clytemnestra, on the other sister, is most famous for her role in the Iliad and for her involvement in the tragic events surrounding her husband, Agamemnon, and her children. Though less prominent in the mythological narratives, her birth from the same egg as Helen indicates her shared divine heritage. In many ancient cultures, the egg was a universal symbol of creation, fertility, and new beginnings. It was often seen as a womb of the cosmos from which all life emerged. The idea of creation from an egg was not unique to Greek mythology, but appeared in various traditions. For example, in Hindu mythology, the universe is said to have originated from the golden egg, called the Brahmanda. Brahmanda. The egg's two halves, often the yolk and the white, symbolize duality and balance, reflecting the interplay of interplay of opposites that is a recurring theme in many mythologies. In the case of Castor and Pollux, the twins represent two opposing forces that complement each other rather than oppose each other, which is consistent with the concept of duality in their myth. The fact that Castor and Pollux, along with Helen and Clytemnestra, were born from eggs emphasizes the idea that their births were not ordinary, but rather divinely orchestrated. Their parentage through Zeus and Leda suggests that they were part of a greater cosmic plan destined for greatness or tragedy. Their divine origin through an extraordinary birth sets them apart from ordinary mortals and elevates their importance in the mythological landscape. The egg, as a symbol of potential and transformation, is linked to rebirth and the possibility of transcendence. Castor and Pollux, in particular, are transformed into the Gemini constellation, representing their immortality and eternal bond. The symbolism of their birth from an egg suggests that their journey was one of transformation, where they moved from mortality to divinity. In ancient Greece and Rome, the myth of the birth of Castor and Pollux, Helen and Clytemnestra, was interpreted in various ways. Castor and Pollux were often worshipped as protectors of sailors, and their birth from an egg was interpreted as a sign of their divine favor and their role in protecting the Greek and Roman peoples. The twins were believed to appear in the sky at the constellation Gemini, guiding ships safely to shore. The story of their birth emphasizes the importance of fate in Greek mythology. Their lives were determined by divine forces and their actions. From the Trojan War to their transformation into the stars, were all parts of a greater cosmic plan. The egg symbolizes the birth of fate and destiny, where divine forces shape the course of events. The birth of Castor and Pollux from the egg symbolizes the duality of life and death. Castor, who was mortal, was eventually killed, while Pollux, who was immortal, chose to share his immortality with his brother. This duality between mortality and immortality represented by the egg reflects the tension between human limitations and divine potential. The myth of Castor and Pollux, Helen and Clytemnestra, being born from an egg, is rich in symbolism and meaning. The egg represents the beginning of life, the cosmic womb, and the potential for transformation. It signifies the divine nature of these characters and their connection to both the mortal and immortal realms. The egg also embodies the themes of fate, duality, and rebirth, with Castor and Pollux and their immortality as stars serving as a lasting reminder of the profound impact of their mythological existence. The ancient Greeks and Romans used this symbolism to emphasize the power of the gods, the role of fate, and the complex interplay between mortality and divinity in their mythological stories. The names Saditas, Astarte, Ahia, and Dione appear in various ancient mythologies, particularly those of the Phoenician Canaanites and Greeks, with some overlapping or sharing roles in different cultures. These deities represent a fascinating blend of feminine power, fertility, love, and cosmic influence. Imermene is a figure from ancient Greek philosophy and mythology, though her presence in mythological texts is not well known, documented, or widespread as other deities or figures. She is most notably connected with the concept of fate or necessity, which plays a key role in Greek thought, particularly in relation to the philosophical ideas of moral responsibility and the predetermined course of events. Imarmene is often interpreted as a personification of fate or destiny, an abstract force that governs the events of the universe and the lives of individuals. In Greek mythology, the concept of fate is not a single entity, but rather a system of cosmic law, often depicted as a power that even the gods must respect. In some philosophical texts, Imermene is referred to as the embodiment of this concept. The term Imermene is often associated with Ananke, the goddess of necessity, who is a primordial figure presenting the unyielding and inevitable force or forces that shape the universe. Imermene's connection to necessity and fate aligns with the idea that all events in the cosmos are predestined and must unfold according to the predetermined order. This view is deeply tied to ancient Greek ideas about cosmic order and the limits placed on human agency. Imermene appears more clearly in Stoic philosophy, where fate is viewed as an unchangeable law of the universe. The Stoics believe that everything that happens is the result of divine reason, or the Logos, and that human beings must accept the natural order of events. Imermene, as a personification of fate, would represent this force that is both unchangeable and beyond human control, illustrating the Stoic concept of accepting one's fate with grace and understanding. Although she is not as prominent as figures like the Morai, the Fates, Imarmene has been associated with them in some ancient texts. The Morai are often described as three sisters who spin, measure, and cut the thread of life, each one responsible for different aspects of fate. In some traditions, Imermene could be considered a more abstract or philosophical extension of the power that the Morai represent. As a personification of fate, Imermene represents the idea that everything that occurs in the universe happens for a reason, it, and it follows a fixed course. This concept is central to Greek philosophy and ethics, where human beings are urged to live in harmony with the natural order rather than trying to resist it. Imermene's symbolism also ties into the broader Greek understanding of the universe as a rational, ordered system. Just as the cosmos operates according to the laws of nature, so too do individuals' lives unfold according to a predetermined set of circumstances that are part of a greater divine plan. While Imermene does not have a widespread recognition of figures like Zeus, Apollo, or the Moirai, her concept of fate has had a lasting influence on philosophical thought. The Greek understanding of fate has been passed down through Western philosophy, particularly in discussions about free will, determinism, and the nature of existence. In later Western traditions, the influence of figures like Imermene can be seen in discussions about divine providence and the tension between human free will and divine control. The concept of fate, as embodied by Imermene, is echoed in various forms of both Christian theology, with the idea of God's will, and in the work of philosophers such as Arthur Schopenhauer and Baruch Spinoza and Friedrich Nietzsche. Imermene represents a key philosophical and methodological concept of fate, and her representation of the inescapable laws of the cosmos provide valuable insights into the ancient Greek beliefs about destiny, order, and human existence. Through her, the ancient Greeks explored themes of acceptance, submission to divine will, and the interplay between free will and predestination. In Greek mythology, Melkart was often equated with Hercules, who is also Hercules, the great hero and god of strength. Both gods shared similar characteristics, including their association with strength, bravery, and protection. The Phoenicians identified with Melkart. No, the Phoenicians identified Melkart with Hercules, and some Greek sources describe Melkart as a Phoenician version of the hero. The worship of Melkart spread beyond Phoenicia, especially to Carthage, where he was known as Baal or Baal Haman or Bel Haman. He was a god of both life and death, associated with resurrection and renewal. The Phoenicians and Carthaginians built temples to him, and his cult played an important role in the religious and political life of these societies. While Poseidon, and Malcathras are distinct in their mythologies and cultures, there are some connections between them. Both Poseidon and Malcathras are sea gods, though Poseidon is more broadly known as the god of the sea and ocean in Greek mythology, while Malcathras was a more localized Phoenician deity. The sea was central to both the Greek and the Phoenicians, as both civilizations relied heavily on maritime trade and exploration. The Phoenicians and Greeks had significant cultural exchange, and gods like Malcathras and Poseidon may have been seen as similar figures by these two cultures. For example, the Phoenicians' Melkart was sometimes identified with the Greek Hercules, just as Poseidon was part of a wider Mediterranean sea god tradition. Sidon, as a major Phoenician city, had close ties to the worship of gods like Malcathras. Phoenician religion practices often focus on deities that govern natural forces like the sea, and Malcathras was seen as a protector of patrons of cities, much like Poseidon was to the Greeks. While Sidon is not a deity itself, it is a cultural significant city in Phoenician mythology, closely associated with gods like Malcathras and other sea deities. As the Greek gods of the sea, as the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon holds dominion over all water bodies and natural disasters, playing a central role in Greek mythology. The Phoenician god Malcathras, or Melkart, is associated with kingship, protection, and the cycles of nature, particularly in the city of Tyre. His influence spread throughout the Mediterranean, including to Carthage. Theta can be referred to a variety of concepts depending on the context. In Greek alphabet, theta is the eighth letter. In scientific and mathematical contexts, it often represents, in geometry, theta is commonly used to represent an unknown angle. It also has a specific function used in various areas of mathematics, particularly in complex analysis and number theory. Theta is also used in polar coordinates. It often represents the angle in relationship to the origin. Now, the letter is sometimes used to represent temperature or potential in certain physics formulas. Now, there's also theta waves, which is between 4 and 8 hertz, and they are a type of brain wave that occurs during periods of deep relaxation, light sleep, or meditation. They're often associated with a state of creativity, intuition, and memory consolidation. In some alternate therapies and meditation practices, it is believed that accessing the theta brainwave state allows for deeper introspective creativity and healing. In esoteric and occult traditions, theta can symbolize spiritual knowledge, understanding, or enlightenment. It may also represent the idea of the void, or a deep cosmic state, in certain belief systems. In some contexts, theta is associated with the divine or the first principle of creation. In certain mythological teachings, theta may represent the source of everything, embodying the primal force or state of existence that transcends ordinary experience. Theta can also refer to the big O notation, where O n is used to describe the time complexity of an algorithm in computational theory. It indicates the asymptotic behavior of an algorithm, where the runtime grows at a specific rate relative to the size of the input. In some ancient Greek and religious traditions, the letter theta was symbolic of death and the afterlife, often seen in association with death deities or rituals. The symbol of the theta was used in inscriptions or tombs as a sign of the deceased's passage into another realm. In many ancient cultures, the circle was a symbol of the world, the cosmos, or the eternal. The letter theta, with its circular shape, has been associated with these themes in both symbolic and philosophical context. In ancient Greek philosophy, the circle symbolizes wholeness, unity, and eternity because it has no beginning or end. Theta, being a circular shape, would naturally be associated with concepts of completeness and the infinite, often used to describe the cosmos or the world in its totality. Between 428 and 348 BCE, Plato often used geometric shapes to represent philosophical and metaphysical concepts. The circle representing the world was a symbol for the perfect, eternal, and unchanging aspects of existence. In his Timaeus, Plato describes the world's soul being crafted by the gods into a perfect spherical shape, embodying harmony and order. The circle, thus, was seen as a divine form, and by extension, theta, as a symbol of the circle, might represent these same eternal qualities. In ancient Greek astronomy and cosmology, the circle was a dominant motif when discussing the structure of the universe. Ancient Greek philosophers and mathematicians believed that the heavens and stars moved in circular orbits, and this notion extended to their idea of cosmic perfection. A perfect circle encapsulated the idea of divine, unchanging motion. The letter theta, being circular, was often used in geometrical and astronomical context. It may have symbolized the heavens or the world as a whole, reflecting an ancient belief that the universe itself was orderly, spherical, and continuous, echoing the symbolism of completeness and unity. The circle often symbolized the cycle of life, including birth, death, and rebirth. In many ancient mythologies, in some philosophical traditions, time was viewed as cyclical, the world constantly renewing itself, much like the movement of the circle. In this sense, theta could represent both the eternal cycle of life and the world's recurring rebirth, where everything is interconnected and constantly transformed within the framework of the circular eternal rhythm. In certain mystical traditions, particularly in Gnosticism and early Christianity, the circle represented divine completeness. And this symbolism can extend to theta as a symbol of spiritual wholeness or the cosmic realm. In this context, theta was sometimes thought to represent the divine source or the world soul that governs the order of the cosmos. It could be a visual representation of the absolute, the unknowable, and the mystical forces that bind the universe together. The circle is often linked with balance and harmony, both physical and metaphysical. This corresponds with the idea of a world in perfect equilibrium. The letter theta, in representing the circle, could be understood as a symbol of harmony between the material and spiritual worlds, where the physical world is part of a larger divine plan. Even in more contemporary interpretations, the idea of theta continues to invoke universal unity. In theta healing or meditation practices, theta waves represent a deep meditative state where a person may connect with a sense of the cosmic whole, embodying the idea of a unified, eternal world. Theta, as a symbol of the cycle, has deep historical, philosophical, and spiritual connections. The cosmos, or the world as a perfect, eternal, and harmonious whole, cycles of life, death, and rebirth, particularly in ancient cosmologies, divine completeness, order, and the eternal return in various religious traditions. Thus, theta is more than just a geometric symbol. It is a representation of the universe, cyclical nature of existence, and its circular form resonates with the idea of the world as a divine harmonious whole, eternally moving in cosmic balance. There are very few direct references to Annabret and the dead in surviving ancient Phoenician or Punic inscriptions. However, their names appear in fragments of Philo of Byblos writings, as preserved by Eusebius of Cicero, who attempted to reconstruct Phoenician theology from earlier sources. Annabret is mentioned in Philo of Byblos's account of the mother of Iod, or Ledud. The name varies in transliteration. Some interpretations suggest that she was a Phoenician divine figure or a symbolic representation of fertility and motherhood. Given Phoenician religious structure, she may have had connections with Astarte, Tannin, and Baalat Gabel, who were important mother goddesses in the region. The dead, or Iod, is said to be the son of Annabret. Some interpretations associate his name with beloved or chosen, linking it to divine favor. In some theories, Ledud may have been a sacrificial figure, perhaps connected to rituals of royal or divine consecration. His name does not appear widely outside of Philo's fragments, so it remains uncertain whether he was a mythological figure, a human ancestor hero, or a title given to certain sacred individuals. These figures appear in passages discussing ancient Phoenician theogony, the succession of gods and their interaction with humans. If Annabret is indeed a mother goddess, her role may be tied to the lineage of divine or semi-divine kings, reflecting the Phoenician tendency to mix mythology with dynastic rule. If Annabret was considered a divine ancestor, Ledud may have represented a semi-divine ruler or priestly lineage. Some scholars have linked Ledud to the firstborn sacrifices found in Phoenician and Carthaginian traditions, where elite families offered their children in rites to Baal Haman or Tanit. Ledud shares similarities with Hebrew Dod, D-O-D, which means beloved, which might indicate an honorific title rather than a personal name. Epius is described as a chief hierophant and sacred scribe, meaning he was likely a religious authority responsible for interpreting and transmitting sacred knowledge. His writing, translated by Arius of Heracleopolis, seemed to focus on Phoenician cosmology and theology, using allegorical language to describe divine beings and primordial forces. This divine being, which combines the features of a serpent and a hawk, appears to be a symbol of primordial light and darkness. The description suggests it is a being of fury essence, which could connect it to solar or celestial deities. The act of opening its eyes, bringing light, and closing them, bringing darkness, resembles Egyptian, Mesopotamian, and other Near Eastern myths of gods controlling cosmic order through sight or presence. The serpent imagery aligns with the Ophid traditions and the worship of serpentine gods, a motif found in Phoenician, Canaanite, and even Gnostic traditions. The text claims that Pherecydes of Syros, a 6th century BCE Greek philosopher, borrowed elements of this Phoenician theology to construct his own cosmogony. The Pherecydes mythology, in Pherecydes mythology, Ophion, a serpent-like primordial deity, and the Ophanidae played roles in the creation of the cosmos. This suggests that early Phoenician beliefs heavily influenced Greek religious thought, especially in the realm of primordial creation myths. The serpent with a hawk form strongly resembles the Egyptian god Kneph, often depicted as a serpent-associated creature deity. It also recalls Ra and Horus, both associated with light, vision, and solar power. The connection between fire, sight, and creation in Epi's account suggests that this might be an early Phoenician conceptualization of a creator god akin to El, Baal, or Baal, or an unknown cosmic force. Astonis was a figure who was often associated with alchemy, occult practices, and esoteric knowledge. In the ancient world, he was believed to have lived during the Persian Empire and is often depicted as a magician or mystic. Many texts claim he was involved in the dissemination of magical and chemical knowledge, and his name is often associated with the mysteries and arcane wisdom of ancient times. In later periods, Astonis was credited with being one of the foremost alchemists, often written about in various texts, some of which relate him to Hermeticism or early magical traditions. His works were considered sources of mystical teachings, and his writings often mixed alchemy, astrology, and other forms of ancient science and mysticism. Astonis himself is not directly connected to the Occult in any known text. However, the themes that he espouses, particularly those concerning the workings of the divine and the supernatural, can draw comparisons to elements of the Octataic. Astonis, as an alchemist and mystic, was concerned with uncovering hidden or secret knowledge, particularly about the nature of the cosmos and the divine. This is mirrored in the Octataic, particularly in the story of Moses receiving the commandments on Mount Sinai, where divine knowledge and laws were revealed to the people of Israel. Astonis's focus on hidden wisdom aligns with the idea in the Octataic that certain knowledge and divine truths are revealed only to specific individuals, often in moments of profound spiritual transformation. In the case of Moses, the divine presence manifests in a direct and powerful way. The burning bush or the cloud and fire leading the Israelites. Similarly, Astonis's mystical teachings often claim that the divine and the supernatural can be revealed through esoteric practices, just as Moses and other prophets received divine revelations. Astonis is known for his writings on ritual magic and alchemy, which often involves sacrifices or offerings to gain favor with supernatural entities or to obtain deeper insight into the nature of reality. This notion can be related to the sacrificial system described in the Octataic. The book of Leviticus, for example, describes numerous offerings of sacrifice as a way to gain atonement or favor from God, while Ostatanus's traditions often involved rituals that similarly sought to tap into the divine or supernatural forces. Just as the Octataic emphasizes ritual purity and the need for offering to maintain harmony with God, Ostatanus or Ostanis's writings underscore the importance of rituals to align oneself with hidden spiritual forces or to bring about certain outcomes. In Ostanis's mystical teachings, much of the focus is on understanding and interacting with divine intermediaries, such as angels or spirits that help guide the initiative or the initiate on their spiritual path. This parallels the role of angels in the Octataic. For example, the angel of the Lord who serves as a mediator between God and the people of Israel, or the messenger that communicates divine will. Astonis's teachings on the intermediaries of the divine might align with the understanding that there are beings who bring the gap between humanity and higher spiritual realms, beings who bridge the gap between humanity and higher spiritual realms. In the Octataic, these intermediaries are often instrumental in conveying divine commandments and acting as protectors or guides. Alchemy plays a significant role in Astonis's legacy, particularly in the idea of spiritual transformation or the purification of the soul. This transformation process in alchemy, where base materials are transmuted into gold, can be seen as a metaphor for the spiritual purification and transformation of an individual. In the Octataic, a similar transformation occurs where the people of Israel are often called to purify themselves, such as through the ritual of atonement. And their journey through the desert is one of spiritual refinement. The Israelites must undergo a process of purification, much like the alchemical process, to become worthy of receiving God's covenant. Just as alchemists strive to purify and transform base substances, the people of Israel are transformed through their trials and interactions with the divine. Astonis was associated with the pursuit of divine wisdom, a concept that is also central to the Occultic. The teachings of the Torah in the Occultic are regarded as a source of divine wisdom, laws, and guidance. In Exodus, Moses is often depicted as a wise figure who speaks to God and conveys divine laws to the people. The idea of divine wisdom that permeates the Occultic is similar to Astonis's emphasis of seeking divine knowledge to navigate the material and spiritual realms. The idea of wisdom as an essential attribute of the divine is present in both traditions. For the Israelites, it is the wisdom that comes from following God's law. For Astonis and alchemists, it is the wisdom gained through secret knowledge of the cosmos and spiritual truths. While Astonis himself was not directly connected to the Occultic, his mysticism and esoteric teachings can be related to some of the larger theological and spiritual themes present in the Occultic. Both the figure of Astonis and the teachings of the Occultic concern themselves with uncovering hidden spiritual truths, the importance of divine guidance, and the intermediaries, and the transformative nature of the sacred. Astonis's work in alchemy, divine wisdom, and rituals aimed at reaching divine or hidden knowledge resonates with the broader themes of divine revelation and spiritual transformation that appear throughout the Occultic. Making a comparative exploration of these ideas quite intriguing. Making the comparative exploration of these ideas quite intriguing. While they come from different cultural and religious backgrounds, the connection between mystical knowledge, divine intervention, and purification rituals are shared in both traditions. The Baal cycle also includes references to rituals and sacrifices, particularly in the context of the victories of Baal. After his battle with Yam, Baal is celebrated and his kingship over the gods is solidified. Ritual sacrifices, typically of animals, were likely associated with these celebrations, as we've seen in Phoenician and Canaanite contexts where sacrifices were part of the sacred rites to appease or honor the gods, a motif present in deities tied to sacrifice. In the Orphic hymns, which combine Hellenistic and earlier Greek religious traditions, synthetic parallelism can be seen in the unfolding of divine cosmogony, where successive lines build upon each other to expand the understanding of how the cosmic and the divine interact. This is common in the way deities are depicted as originating from one another and the universe's cyclical nature. First was chaos, then came Gaia, and from Gaia came Uranus, and from Uranus the seed of heaven gave birth to the mighty Titans. This passage uses synthetic parallelism to expand upon the idea of the primordial succession of divine beings, each one adding to the structure of the cosmos in a chain of creation that builds upon the last. In the Hellenistic period, particularly after the conquest of Alexander the Great, Greek poetry and its poetic devices spread across a wide region, blending with Persian, Egyptian, and Indian traditions. These intermingling cultures would bring ideas such as karma, the eternal cycle, and divine duality into sharper focus. The interplay of opposing divinely ordained order and cosmic balance, which we've seen in many of the mythologies mentioned, such as the struggles between gods, cosmic forces like chaos and order, and the cyclical nature of the universe, became central in Hellenistic thought. Parallelism in Greek poetry wasn't just a stylistic tool, it was a philosophical reflection of how the world, the cosmos, and the gods interacted. These parallels help people make sense of existence, from the grand structure of the universe down to personal fate. The mythological structure we discussed earlier, such as the cosmic battles between gods and the struggles between order and chaos, and the rise and fall of divine beings, are explored and expressed through poetic parallelism. For example, the Tartarus, which is chaos, and Gaia, which is earth, cosmogony parallel in Orphic cosmogony reflects an ancient metaphysical understanding of the universe's structure. Chaos gives birth to order, which then gave rise to new divine entities. This can also be reflected in the Greek gods. Many contrasts. Apollo's in the Greek gods. Now, this can also be reflected in the Greek gods. Many contrasts. Apollo as order and Dionysius as chaos, with each deity representing larger cosmic forces. So that is the end of the reading, which ends the topic. I hope you guys did enjoy that. That was going over everything that I had discussed so far in this season. So I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please like, subscribe, share, make comments, give me some feedback on what you heard, what your thoughts are, and I'd love to hear what you think of it. I was really surprised. I thought this was going to take a lot longer. It's only at an hour and 49 minutes or 59 minutes. So that's a good thing. I thought this was going to be at least 3 hours long. My reading must be getting better. I do apologize about my bad reading, by the way. And even though I am still saying the words really bad, I'm saying them better than what I did when I first started. If you've heard any of my earlier readings, you would easily agree with me. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, thank you for watching. If you didn't, sorry, I apologize. And I will talk to you later. I hope you have a good night. And with that, I will end this.